Welcome to the Lynn and Scott Show, plus friends. Well, guess what? I'm the Lynn Serrano part, and I've got all my friends, but Scott won't be here. So welcome to the stage, Rex Sikes, Steve Rizzo. We have 2 birthdays today. Scott to Hipster, happy birthday, and Barry Selby, happy birthday. And we have my wonderful dear friend Sandy Archer here. So welcome, everybody.
Yep. In case you folks are wondering, Barry's legal, so don't worry about it.
You know, we had such a great behind the scenes getting ready to the show. I'm like, by the time we start, we're all ready to go home. I belly laughed so hard already, it's not even funny. So
I think Rex looks a lot. By the way, I think Rex looks a lot like so he has the sort of facial makeup. I think it'd make it good if he had glasses on. He'd be a great substitute.
for Scott.
Hold on a second. Hold on.
There we go. There we go. Okay, Scott. That was a good stand.
Nicely done. Nicely done.
Oh my God.
You know, Lynn, you said something before that didn't make any sense at all. You said you were laughing so hard, it's not funny. Then what the hell were you laughing for?
Because there was nothing really funny, but it was still funny. So there you go. I made you laugh again.
Yeah.
Lynn has the ability to find humor in everything, which is a great talent.
Absolutely.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, before we get started, I do want to know how both birthday boys' birthdays were today. So, hello, Tim. Thanks for watching. So, Mr. Hipster, how was your birthday?
Fabulous. A lot of calls, a lot of talking to people, which is always fun. And then a lovely dinner with my wife, and ahead of the show, so that I was here to enjoy it with all you and wish Barry a happy birthday, which we didn't know we had shared the same birthday until today.
It's nice.
I love it. I love it. And yours, Barry?
Peaceful, although lots of virtual hugs and love and phone calls and stuff. It's been nice just to receive all that. And basically, I had a couple of things today I was going to do, and then moved them back. And an interview I'm is going to be launching tomorrow, and they want some information from me, so I just make sure that all the dots are dotted and T's are crossed and everything's ready to go. And then I get to do the show here. So I'm really happy to be here tonight too, or today.
Wow. Super honored that both of you guys are here. Now, Scott picked the topic of building healthy relationships, but I'm going to pass the baton to Rex, and I'm just going to be AKA Scott.
So you're going to pass the baton to me to talk about building happy relationships? Is that
yeah.
There's no such thing as a happy relationship. There's
No,
only
Healthy.
But healthy.
There's only healthy. There's only healthy relating. There's no such thing as a relation. It's like humanity doesn't exist. There's only people.
Makes sense.
It's how you treat each other. Barry's the relating king here. So why don't we start with Barry and go, what's important about building happy or healthy relationships, Barry?
Well, since you've given me such a nice lead in, but the thing is actually, and to actually accentuate your point, one of my favorite teachers, Alison Armstrong, said she looked up the dictionary once what relationship actually breaks down to, and it's actually the act of relating. So there is no relationship per se, it's the act of relating to each other. So one of the fundamentals is realizing that when you're in a relationship, first of all, you're not the only one in it. Secondly, the other person's not the only one in it, meaning you're both in the connection, the communication, the relationship. And the key thing is that when you are in a relationship with anybody, is make sure that you're on equal footing with that person you're relating to, whether it's romantic, business, anything, because we have this tendency either to become egotistical and we're above the other person, or the other person's above us, and we end up being out of sync. And as you were saying, like, there's only people, it's not humanity. Well, we're all the same, really, deep down inside. So nobody is better than anybody else. They may have a nicer car, they may have may have more hair, they might look better on camera.
For example,
yes. But there's no difference otherwise. So really, we're equal. So why not treat ourselves and each other with the honor we both deserve?
Oh, that's beautiful.
Agree.
Love that.
Totally.
Miss Sandy.
There you go.
Yes. I talk a lot about relationships.
You
About building a healthy one by having bad ones. You know, you learn by your mistakes, right? So I definitely have learned and had to re-navigate things, you know, in relationships. And everybody's different. Our perceptions are also different. So really communication is number one, and trying to understand where somebody else is coming from and not miscommunicating. And so having a healthy relationship or trying to build a healthy relationships, I think the building blocks are communication and boundaries. And, you know, if you stay within those two lines, you're tending to build a healthy one. You know, but we have triggers, you know, we have unhealthy triggers, right? So we don't find out what those are until we're in it. So it's really hard to be preventative, except for the communication and boundaries being talked about very early on in any relationship, you know, between friends, between, you know, not just dating ones, you know, all of them. Oh, somebody's got some dogs.
Hey, Barry, Barry, shut up.
Ventriloquist.
But I just want to say that you can reframe a relationship at any time. I think people think that they can't. I think even a parent-child, you know, any relationship you have, if you have an open mind and you really communicate about it and say, hey, listen, I think that we've hit some rough spots here. How can we improve this? Just like anything you would do, quality improvement, process improvement. You know, I think that we can do that.
and Sandy, thank you. I only asked her 20 minutes ago if she wanted to be on the show. And
Yes.
she's been traveling. So the fact that she took time for me is an honor. And I love you for being here with us.
Can I want to add something. I mean, something just happened here. It sounded like somebody was using like an electric, like a shocker on the outside of the house, and the lights were flickering and the dogs went crazy. And I don't know what happened. I mean, I have no idea what just happened, but that's why I left and I'm back. And the dogs are still going. So Bailey, it's okay. But you said something truly important, Sandy. I mean, as did Barry, but you said something really interesting, and that is, you know, the idea of having a healthy relationship, especially in our country, and it may be elsewhere. Everybody kind of expects that with very little practice, suddenly you're a master at good relationships. You know, I mean, like your first marriage should last forever. Everything should always be forever. And yet people don't. I mean, if you're going to practice baseball and batting, it can take a long time to actually hit a ball. And then to consistently hit the ball, you know, it requires a lot of work. And yet people, when it comes to relationships, just somehow think, well, I talk and I'm a human and they're a human. We should just fall in love and then that's the end of the story. But that isn't the end of the story. We've got Barry here and you who just made some really, truly excellent points. So after the 16th or 17th marriage, then finally people are getting, you know, and of course I jest because we don't want to think about that. But I mean, I used to think, oh, Mickey Rooney got married 8 times. You know, how horrible that was. But maybe he's just trying to get it right, you know, and
him and Elizabeth Taylor, but
Elizabeth Taylor, same thing. And I think, I mean, so there are people who, you know, and obviously relationships fall apart for other reasons, you know, too. But the point that you know, the idea that we're kind of neophytes, you know, we're teenagers and we finish high school and we've fallen in love a couple of times and maybe we've dated or slept around a lot, but we're no expert in relationship right out of the gate. So what say anyone else?
Yeah, I can jump back in, but I'll wait. I'm saving up my thoughts.
No, you want to come back in, Barry? Go ahead.
Let's start Steve go because they haven't said anything yet.
All right. Well, I'll get the other birthday boy then.
You know, yeah, it's interesting because I think the what you were saying there, Rex, is really important. Nobody teaches you how to necessarily respond to another person and you know what the process is to form that relationship going forward. So I mean, just over time, what I think you start to learn is, as you were saying, Sandy, the communication side is asking quality questions and shutting the hell up and listening to what those answers are. My lovely wife, she said, "Do you want to go out tonight for your, for your birthday, or you want to do something here at the house?" And I said, "Well, we can go out anytime. It doesn't have to be today, but it'd be nice to do something here." I said, "I'll go get some stuff and we can do it right here, and we can do it early because I got a show at 6:00. That's always, fun to participate in and be part of because they're such a great group of people." And she was like, "Yeah, that sounds great." So we just, the whole day then got arranged around that. She wanted to do something nice. I'm not against somebody doing something nice for me. That would be kind of silly, right? So, it was just a very nice time. And then once we're done here, we'll continue, and do things like that. But I think it's, a big part of it is investing in the other person, and in that investment in the other person becomes an investment in yourself, quite frankly. How do you learn their likes, dislikes, whatever? It's so interesting. Just before this or earlier today, I was watching a video kind of critiquing a sales presentation, and the person was giving the presentation and the other person objected to something, and the response was, "No, I found it's mostly user error. So no, you're wrong that you had a problem." It's like, are you not listening? I mean, even if that was the answer, that ain't the answer. You just, you don't dump in somebody's mess kit, as they say, right? It just, even if their mess kit deserves it, you don't do it. It's just, it's take the higher ground. And that's where I think then the boundaries come in and all the different things you learn from it. But there's, life sometimes is a bitch, and 99% is 100% is easy. 99% is a bitch. It's that extra 1% to really want to get into that position where you want to have those healthy relationships. And again, whether the relationship itself is the issue, or just do you want to treat other people with respect, honor, and dignity? And I think when you come to that point where you say, I want to make sure that I represent respect, honor, and dignity to all, your whole world changes, I think, quite frankly.
Yes.
Love that. I think he still has the dogs going there.
No, I agree. I was just letting. I assumed you're going to pass it to Steve or Barry. So
Yeah. There we go.
Oh, I guess I'm next.
Yes, you are. Surprise.
all right,
Thanks, Steve. That was great.
You know how I knew that? Because I look. See, there I am again. I look familiar. I know me. When I first looked at the title, Building Healthy Relationships, I thought of two things immediately, because I was wondering, which relationships did you mean? Relationships as far as marriage and family goes, or business relationships? But I want to, if I may, I'd like to break them both up and discuss both. As far as my business relationships, I'm of the mindset that business is personal. I've always looked at it that way. And most people don't. Most people say you got to separate your personal life from your professional life. The closest relationships that I have in business, people are my friends now. And we were always there to help each other out. And that's what makes it a very successful business. To the point where when I have personal problems, for example, when my brother passed away, as you folks know, and we buried him just a day before Christmas Eve. But at the wake services, my friend Jeffrey Gittimer, who started out with me as far as business goes, and he's helped me so much in my business, more than anyone that I know. He lives in Charlotte, North Carolina. I live on Long Island, New York, and there I am grieving over my brother, and I see this guy walking right up to me. Now that's a relationship. Mm-hmm. I said, "What are you doing here?" He said, "Sometimes friends have to do what they have to do." And that meant so much to me. He stayed the entire night. He got a hotel at JFK, and he stayed there, and he had to get up at 3 a.m. the next day to have a morning business meeting in Charlotte. But he went through all that. That not only solidifies a personal relationship, but a business relationship. And I just think that's what life is all about. And if you could make, and even the people that I've spoken for, my clients, I always keep in touch with them. And there are a lot of them that I'm pretty close with. And I've been in every state in this country at least 3 times. And sometimes if I'm going to be in Phoenix, I know a particular client, I'll give them a call weeks ahead of time. Do you want to go out to dinner? Let's do this, or lunch. And a lot of times they can do it. That solidifies the relationship. And I don't do it for the fact that, yes, I'm going to get more business, although I do, but people not only like you for what I do on the platform, but they like you as a person. And even when I do my speeches, I'm one of the only speakers out there that I always volunteer my services. Are you having dinner after the event? Would you like me to join your group? Do you want me to join you for lunch? Is there anything you want me to participate? And I don't ask for any more money. My time is valuable to me, but I always offer that, and they love that, and it goes a long way. Now, as far as my personal relationships, the thing that I don't understand is I read an article, and I have to share this with you. I read an article in Oprah magazine that said the key to a healthy relationship, a healthy marriage, is to understand your partner. And I'm thinking, are you kidding me?
You were married, what, 35 years?
You will never,
you gotta
ever
stop charging your married people for dinner. You got.
I know, but I started
stop charging the lovely people.
The article was well written, but I'm thinking to myself, the comedian in me is going, understand your partner. And I'm thinking the only thing you have to understand about your partner is that there are things about your partner that you will never understand. And if you can understand that, you will have a better understanding. Do you understand? I've been married to my wife I was married to her for 34 years. Till this day, I could never understand why I had to get in trouble for dreams he had. I just don't understand it. You wake up in the morning and it's a great Sunday, and I'm going to have a beautiful day. And she goes, well, maybe it's a beautiful day for you, Casanova. And I'm like, what did I do now? Well, I just had a dream that you had an affair with another woman. And by the way, guys, your response should never be, really? What'd she look like? Never say
Oh, God.
Never say, no, really, I just want to know if it's the same dream I've been having. That's all.
Oh, God.
I wonder why things didn't end up the way they did.
So,
And it didn't work.
Sorry.
Don't be sorry. I love it.
Wow. Well, I would add to that the idea that some people are really good at knowing what they don't want. I don't want somebody too old or too young. I don't want somebody too fat or too thin. I don't want somebody who smokes or who eats meat. They have to be a vegan. They have to be this size. They have to be that color hair. They have to be this guy, or I want this kind of money. But few people sit and say, I want somebody who will treat me really nice, who I can treat really nicely. I want somebody who I can get along with and who gets along with me, who we have mutual interests, and that I can support and they can support me, and that we're, truly partners. And creating that kind of a list, in my programs, I always tell people, you got to go first. So you have to be it in order to do it and have it. So if you want somebody else, you want to attract the right partner, be the partner you want to attract. Be the loving, kind, compassionate, peaceful, gentle kind of. And I do have a rule: never marry a narcissist, a psychopath, or a sociopath, or date them. And the only way you find out who they are is probably to have an experience with them, and then go, do the exorcist thing. Not this person. Not have enough sense to go, this is not a good choice.
Right.
I would be better off finding the person who loves me like I love them than finding the person who's a sociopath or a psychopath. But because people just are bad at making choices out of desperation or out of need or out of inferiority or out of. Go ahead, Barry.
Well, the thing is, this is the piece I wanted to drop in here, which is a teaching I learned a long time ago, and I can reference Bruce Lipton's Biology of Belief as well, and it's in my book as well. Thank you for that, Lynn. To qualify something that sounds so obvious, but we're not born with user manuals, and the parents don't get one from the hospital when we're born. So our parents raising us is really a crapshoot. And
Oh, yeah.
honestly, they're doing what they know, the best they know how, because of the way they were raised. And then before that. So basically, we are the result, which is scary to think about, of the way that our parents were raised and their parents before them.
Mm-hmm.
And the challenge is that we don't know differently. You know, what happens, we're born, and for the first several years of life, we look at the parents and go, oh, that's how love is expressed, which could be really scary when you think about your parents. And so what happens, we tend to incorporate into our unconscious mind, because it's not something we think about, just go straight in. This is how love is expressed. This is how people relate. This is what people do. Then around, I think it's around 6 or 7, according to what Bruce Lipton talks about, our conscious mind, the prefrontal cortex comes online like a gatekeeper or a bouncer, and basically then filters all the thoughts coming in. The thing is, there's a warehouse full of thoughts behind that's been filled up for the last 5-6 years. That's autopilot. And when we are adults, we go out and dating and relationships, we fall in love and get married, and we discover 5 years in, this person reminds us of one of our parents. How the hell did that happen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yeah.
You know, dating apps will abandon you, or is addicted to drink, or a workaholic, or all these different things.
Right.
But we end up attracting, and this is the thing that's so amazing about us as human beings. We have this unerring ability to attract somebody like one of our parents without even realizing it. They don't wear it like a badge, or it's not on their profile. But if you're, for example, if the person watching is somebody who is wondering why their partners keep deserting them, but they look back at their growing up years and realize that their dad left when they were 2, that could be something to do with it. So part of the process for me in my work with my clients is helping them really undo the autopilot they've been living with the last 20, 30, 40 years. So they could be free of that and then choose cleanly what they want. So that's one of the keys. But the other part is really, for us as adults, we should take better care of ourselves. And I don't just mean physically, which that's a key part too. But a lot of times we'll say, well, when I get in a relationship, then I'll do this, or then I'll be this. It's like you were saying, Rex, is find what's important for you in a relationship and do it for yourself. But also one of the biggest things is, how do we take care of ourselves? Do we let go of the judgments we carry around for years about that person, the resentments, the upset, the hurt feelings? Do we learn new skills? Do we read books and become more wise? Do we go play sports and make more connections in social life? Things that make us more well-rounded, make us more attractive. So
one of the insanities is that when people start talking to the opposite sex or whatever, talking to somebody you might be interested in, I've got to be all right here. The point is that when it's not right and you continue, you have all the signs there, and you continue with the smoke screens, and you get yourself in so deep. I mean, do yourself and the other person a favor, and don't waste your time. I mean,
but that's where communication has to come in. I don't know which one of you folks.
Well, listening.
Communication is crucial.
It is, but that's the thing.
Because you keep holding it in, and then finally, when you say what you want to say, you're saying it in a state of anger, frustration, and then it comes out wrong.
Right, and I'm talking about if certain things that are already just it's in their DNA and that's how they are, and that it's just in conversation and talking about it, and it's still not going to change. Don't expect them to change. The only thing that's going to change is you need to change your mind about being with that person.
Yeah, I want to. I'm sorry, I don't mean to step.
Go ahead, Rex.
No, but this is a very crucial point, because what happens is people get attracted to someone, and the person is wrong for them, for whatever you said, and then they more desperately want the person and can't figure out why the person doesn't want them, or why the person abuses them, or doesn't, whatever. And so it ends up being about the other person. It's the hole in them that needs to be plugged. They need to be fixed. It's the person who's desperate for the other person who's missing a component of feeling self-love or self-kindness or self-respect or something. It ain't about the other person. It's like, get yourself fixed. And I hate to use that term, but get yourself fixed so you don't reproduce. But no, get yourself...
Rex, you're right. If it's bothering you, it's your problem.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, but people don't do that. No, you don't understand. This person is doing this, but who's it bothering?
But if it is,
that's principle number 1. Number 2 in my life, I'm the only problem I will ever have, and somewhere within me, there's a solution waiting to be discovered. I just have to get out of my own way to find the solution.
And Gary points out, because so many people marry the same person or date the same person again and again and again and again, they're dating or trying to find that template that they were conditioned with, from birth on, and they haven't graduated from that. So really good stuff, everybody.
The advice I give is don't date a fixer-upper.
No.
No?
Well, I had a buddy that was the master rescuer, and boy, he would find the biggest mess, and then wonder why it didn't work. And he not only rescued them, but rescued their friends, their families, their this, their that. Many friends would comment to him saying, "You're rescuing again." No, it's just the way it has to be. Well, it doesn't have to be that way, And so again, the one thing, it kind of comes back into the thought of constant, never-ending personal improvement or personal learning, right? We are a work in progress from start to finish.
Yep.
And it's if something doesn't work the way you'd like it to work, probably go get to somebody that can help you with that, or learn something that might be a hole in the knowledge base to not do it again. Now, that's from a multiple repeater who has done, I've had multiple patterns in my life and in my career, and I have worked to, if everybody knew the amount of money that was committed to me that wasn't delivered, from repeating a pattern, and so I get it. I don't care who you are. We've all had it at some point, but it's hopefully having good enough friends to actually help identify it with you, and not to you. Can't believe you're doing this, kind of thing. It's hey, did you realize, right? Yeah. And do it with love. But like Rex said, you got to be it first. There was a time I made a very distinct decision. I wanted to be a kinder, nicer person. And then once you make the decision and you start acting on it, it's really amazing what happens. All of a sudden, you're talking to more people, you're smiling at more people, you're laughing more, you're doing all this, and they're doing it back to you. And you go, well, that's cool. I wonder how that happened.
Law of attraction. Law of attraction. Yeah, I was gonna say,
and they already did.
Yeah, your consciousness to subconscious, it made an exchange like it's supposed to. As you think it and you act it, then it starts to become part of your subconscious versus just your conscious. And I think that helps to shift you and to evolve you. But you are right. You have to make the decision to not attract those people, or to, you put out there what you want in the universe for it to come back at you. And I have done that, but I've also stumbled back into an old pattern too. So, I mean, it's not flawless theory. So, because you can, I was trying to make somebody kind of what I wanted them to be, and they weren't, you know what I mean? So I think sometimes we do that. We're like, well, they're a nice person, so I'm going to make them this person that I need and that I want. And it's really difficult to see that, even though I'm putting out there, I think that they could be, not by potential, right? It's like a potential, you kind of project those things sometimes, on, well, they're really the last guy I kind of was dating, I kept saying, he's a nice guy. And my friends pointed out, you're saying he's a nice guy a lot. Is he really not a nice guy? I mean, why do you keep saying he's a nice guy?
So I can hear myself
trying to reassure yourself.
Right. So I saw myself falling into that pattern of trying to make that person who I wanted them to be versus who they were,
Yeah, it's not good choice.
No, you have to recognize that too at some point. And you do need your friends, like you were just saying, to point it out, like, Sandy, hello, you can know all the things up here, but it has to drop to your subconscious too, and your heart. So,
Well,
I
you
mean,
know, there's also I think a point, like if you found an old, ripped up, torn, scuffed, scraped, battered suitcase in the road, you go, oh my God, a great valise. I'm going to keep this forever. But we do that with broken, wounded, insufferable people,
yeah.
and for whatever the reasons. And so you have to have a certain amount of care for yourself to say, not every broken, wounded, egotist, narcissist, whatever, blah, 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 is worth saving or keeping or having. You be friendly, be nice, don't be disparaging, don't create waves, but understand that they're not meant for you. There's 8 billion people on the planet. You can find somebody else, for goodness sake.
That's right. That's right. And I think that's where the boundaries come in, because if people keep going over your boundaries, that's when you know that that's the person to exit from, if they
Right,
don't
so
keep those boundaries.
well, that's a good thing, except again, if you're raised in a family where boundaries are not respected,
Right.
maybe your wiring is set up where boundaries have to be trodden on to know you're being loved. That's how backwards it is.
Well, we're all
Yeah, very much.
mindset people and heart set people here on this platform, and we meet every week. We all understand that so much of our issues are our habits, there's a mindset, there's the conditioning that we grew up with, and each of us is learning to, and the people around us are learning to release or let go or to heal or to help or to enhance or to do something, and we're perfectly flawed and wonderfully broken and amazingly resilient and marvelously resourceful, and we are all of these things, but sometimes we trip and stumble and we fall and if we pick
That's
ourselves up. So, but to your point, I mean, we are living, that Barry would say, we are living that conditioning, and sometimes we are revivifying it. We're doing it over and over again until we do something different. And
What's funny, what
This
Scott said,
Is it possible for teenagers and adolescents to have a scorecard of what's happened to them up until that time when they get into
Well,
the dating world?
Well,
Could
you
be.
know
Could
what?
we create a shortcut? I bet you we could sell the hell out of that.
Yeah, I was just
I
I was
wish.
just thinking of a great analogy that teenagers would understand right now, and that's when you're looking at a 500-piece puzzle. There's a lot of pieces that look alike, and they look like they can interchange, but the bottom line is, some of them, there's only the right piece that links up. And so you need to find the right piece to your puzzle. Even though the other ones are similar, it's just not going to fit and it's not going to work. So,
well, I want to extend that.
okay.
Of course you do.
Not
Of course
the other
you-
piece that's the right fit for you. It's the right piece of you that will get the right fit for somebody else. I mean, it's easy
Right.
to say there's one person who fits me, but it's another thing to say I need to have all the
Right.
pieces. Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
I could jump that soulmate piece, because that's the thing a lot of people talk about. I want my soulmates out there somewhere. I believe in a loving, kind God, and there's 8 billion people on the planet. God wouldn't be kind if it said you got one soulmate, go find them.
Yeah, right.
I firmly believe we have more than one choice. The other thing I'll say, but Scott's point about his story
And
about
they
his
put them
friend.
on the other side of the planet.
Exactly.
You need to go travel.
Yeah, usually I
It was
found my
different
soulmate.
era.
I found my soulmate, but she's with someone else right now.
She's learning her lessons to appreciate me.
No joke. I've crossed paths with 3 soulmates. One of them was married. So I know that experience of going, I know that's the connection, but I knew not to do anything about it. I mean, I respect that boundary, of course.
Right.
But the things I'm really aware of, there are people I know over my life I've met who are what I would call soul connection, that soulmate maybe, I don't know. But it's something about that, like just knowing about each other, go, okay, we've been together before somewhere along this strange journey we're on. But someone's going to say to Scott's friend's story about the saving people. I spent about 4 years when I got a brand new car. I did a seminar at the same time. It was a white car, and somebody in the seminar called me a white knight. English accent, living in America, had a white car, perfect. So I put the license plate on my car. The next 3 years, every woman I seemed to meet and date was a damsel in distress. What I realized I was doing, like I think you were saying, Rex was saying too, I was going out of my way to basically think I was doing the right thing by saving these women. I was getting drained, worn out, and beaten up by the energy of that. I finally said I've had enough. I need to get rid of the license plate. 2 weeks after I said that, my car got stolen. That was spirit telling me I'm done.
Wow.
I'll jump in. I've gotten old enough to say I want someone to take care of me. I'm done taking care of other people. I don't want to pay for anybody else anymore. They can pay for me. A rich broad, rich man. A rich dog. I don't care. Put me up in some house or a hotel or something. Keep me as a pet. I don't care. Just treat me nicely.
It's good to be clear.
Yeah.
I have never, and I don't know why I'm saying this in public, but I've never cheated on anyone. I've never had an affair. I've never been the second guy to try and destroy a relationship inadvertently or otherwise. And I've never cheated on somebody I've dated, because I always went, if they did that to me, and people have done it to me, but I was like, if they did that to me, I would feel really, really, really bad.
Yeah.
I would betray their trust. I wouldn't be loyal.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be the kind of person that I want to have in my life. I ain't going to do it. And, and plenty of people have, and I'm not making a judgment. I'm just saying what I said earlier. I want somebody to treat me nicely because I want to be able to treat them nicely. Yeah, they can be hot or not and all that kind of stuff. But the point is, unless we're really connected somewhere, that is what, I want somebody that I can eat breakfast with or dinner with, or not, or I go to the library and I think about them, and I just want stuff to be pleasant. I'm old enough now too, where I don't need all the hot and the drama and all the, it's fine. But I'm just saying that there's something about getting along with people. Even in business, I want to be with people in business who I treat nicely and who treat me nicely, and we're fair and we're equitable, and we like to be together and we want to get together and we spend time together because we're important to each other. There's a certain,
I think you're right, Rex. You get to a point where you just, it's like you say to yourself, and you might not even say it out loud, I've had enough bullshit. I just want, I'm thinking I'm going to break into Billy. I'm going to break into Billy Joel's song, Honesty. I just want, I don't want, you may be right, I may be crazy, but it just may be a lunatic you're looking for, Let me go some more Billy Joel songs.
Yeah, I was going to say, so this is the Billy Joel song.
You're going to become the piano man next.
Because I'm an instant man. And no, it's true. There comes to a point, you get to a point in your life where you want to chill. Yes. And you don't want drama, unwanted, unnecessary drama. You just want moments throughout each day of peace, tranquility, which is why I'm living by myself now. Because I get along so
you just don't want the hassle
me. It's unbelievable.
Well, you know what I discovered about myself is I'm great in a crisis. I really am. I mean, that's where my leadership excels. Mm-hmm. If a crisis happens, an accident on the road, a fire, building blows up, I'm fantastic. I just don't want to do that anymore in my life.
Right.
Yeah,
that's right. That's
right. It's good at it. Doesn't mean you want to keep doing it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Right. No, I mean,
he wants to play one on TV, but not in real life.
There you go.
Hold on. A break coming.
He
did a Scott rendition there.
There is a point in dating, because I'm single. I don't know, and so it's kind of like, I am picking peace over a date. Like, I would rather have a peaceful, tranquil evening than go out on a date, and it's not that I'm very personable, and I'm outgoing and extroverted. So it's not that. It's just that if I even think there's an inkling that, this is going to be not a great investment of my time, I'd rather pick the peace. I mean, it's just kind of crazy. It's the right juncture.
It's exhausting. It's really not crazy, because what happens over time is you're stacking all those experiences.
Yeah.
The stuff that you would put up with younger, you just have learned not to need anymore, that hassle factor. There is something about becoming more mature that is absolutely great, because you've had that many more experiences, and sometimes you try to pass that down to others, and some would call that wisdom, or whatever it might be, but you try to share it with somebody that you don't have to get your head knocked off yourself. Watch what's happened. But again, my mentors 20 years ago said the exact same thing to me. And I went, yeah, right, old guy, get out of the way. and you know, and then I proved him right. So it made him happy because it proved him right. So
your dating maturity stops when you, I mean, just think about it. We were dating in teenagers and I had been married twice. And so I had a big, huge 30-year gap of dating. So my dating maturity stopped there. Do you know what I mean? So like when I started dating again, I didn't know what I was doing. You know, I'm like, what am I doing here? You know, what's happening? And nowadays it's just a train wreck all around, especially dating apps and all that silliness. Like,
well, that's the other side. The rules have changed and sped up exponentially through all this time. And the way you used to do it, it doesn't work anymore, or it's not done that way, or you can't communicate. You can't talk to somebody. Oh my God, what do you want to actually talk to me? Send me a text. You're across the frickin' table. You know, come on. Right. It just, you know, it's communication styles have changed, so many different things. So again, that's why it's got to be a work in progress consistently, because we're not only through our own experiences and the things that are going on that way, but the technology and the other things that are ramping up along the way. You know, my mom and dad were I was a skip generation. You know, I'm like 1.5 generations. You know, when I was born, my parents were older, but so it put them way back in a totally different time frame, in what was the way marriages worked and relationships worked and how they even got started to begin with, you know. And you know, you got to learn through time. I mean, the one thing about time is it gives you the opportunity to take a whole bunch more stuff in, and hopefully you can do some critical thinking with it and keep the good and get rid of the not as good.
Yeah.
I have a couple of points to make. One is the longer I've been alone and aged, the pickier I get, and the more particular I get, and the less I'm willing to tolerate. So there's that side of the aging process or being alone process where you get set in your ways and it's harder to accommodate someone else or their likes or preferences or differences or whatever. On the other hand, girls, please. That's what
he's got two girls. You see that? They're fighting over him.
They're fighting over him.
Yeah, and by the way, I am petting my dogs outside of the camera frame. So if I look like
your dog, it sounds like you're ripping your leg apart.
Taking care of both dogs inside of me.
He doesn't want one thing and he's cheating on the other.
I know.
I'm not having
his leg is being chewed apart.
So but again, it goes back to, you know, Steve was talking about having dinner with his clients and customers and business people. When I've traveled around the world, and sometimes I travel, you know, on my own and did my own stuff, or I've traveled with other people and shared platforms with them. And the one thing that I was always aware of is that participants, whether they come to me here in the country or I go to them in their countries, they're there to meet the trainers. They're there to meet the speakers and the presenters, and they want to do that. And a lot of the speakers and presenters haven't seen each other or are getting to know each other, so they want to run off and do their thing. And I'm a boundary spanner. I would spend time with the participants. I would spend time with the audience. Who the hell cares about the trainers? They're just going to talk about the same kind of things that I would talk about if we were all together. But these people have come for miles and paid lots of money to be able to rub elbows with the people on the platform. So I go down and I rub elbows with them. And while that is great for them, I learned so many things from these people. And I get to meet people from around the world whose thoughts and ideas and philosophies and experiences and talents I would never, ever otherwise have been exposed to. So while I'm doing something for them, I'm getting so much back. And the point of when you're alone and you're trying to accommodate somebody else, you know, if you understand that it is about both of us together. It's not just about my likes or just about your likes. It's about our likes. And what are those things that overlap and share that we can enjoy together? What are the things that we can do independently now? And I think a lot of that does come from living on your own and becoming older. Because when you're young, you just want to, you know, I mean, most of the time you just want to either go from flower to flower, or you want to, everything has to be hot and intense and you know, you kind of wear each other out with the, you know. So so there's this ebb and flow to things that become obvious to us, I think, as we, age or increase, hopefully, in wisdom and in experience.
Yeah, it's a big balance, that's for sure. Everything's a balance, and we haven't talked much about balance, but I definitely would say that's a huge part. Is you come to a point where you got to meet in the middle,
Well,
and somebody sometimes got to break or compromise.
that's
Go
why
ahead.
the key phrase in building a healthy relationship is building. It's a step-by-step process.
Mhm.
And I think the biggest shame is there are so many people that I know that had good relationships, but because of lack of communication, and I always say, I'll say it to my son, I say it to friends, if there's a glitch in your relationship with someone, especially someone that you're really close with, nip it in the bud right away. Nip it in the bud right away, because if you don't, that can blossom into emotional havoc, and you can make a challenging situation way worse than what it has to be. And a lot of people do that. I've seen relationships fall apart because people are stubborn and they don't want to have a confrontation with someone. Confrontation doesn't mean you have to yell at them, doesn't mean you have to be angry, doesn't mean you have to curse at them. Confrontation is, I care about our relationship. Let's get together if we can, and let's talk about this. And if we can't meet in person, let's talk on the phone. Let's not text with these stupid things that we have and say, gee, what's wrong? I don't know. You're the one. You can't do that. It's got to come from the heart.
It's
And a
called
lot of people
phone.
don't know that. We've lost that.
It's called a phone. That's why we don't use them for phone calls. It really cracks me up.
I know people that when I call them, they say, text me before you call.
Right.
Oh,
I was thinking we said those, Steve, because that's something that's important and something I learned myself. My dating life in my late teens, early 20s, I would go out with a girl or a woman, and we'd go out for maybe a month or two. There'll be an argument. It wouldn't necessarily be confrontational. Well, it would be confrontational, but it wouldn't necessarily be gentle. It'd be like an argument or upset, something like that. And I would quit and leave every single time over about 5 years, different relationships. The reason why that happened, speaking to what I said earlier about what we inherit, I grew up in a family where, reserved Jewish, English, stoic family, stiff upper lip. My dad never raised his voice. My parents didn't argue much, if at all, in front of the kids. So my wiring was that when an argument happened, there was no love, because love and arguments didn't go together in my upbringing. So my adult relationships, if there's an argument, no love, I'm out. It took me a while to figure that one out. It changed, thankfully. But that thing is, some people are raised with different belief systems that make confrontation or even communication challenging for them, because they was raised in a place where maybe it was never accepted to speak out. So sometimes you got to check out where somebody comes from, because then you can figure out, oh, I can learn from this. They can change this. They can grow.
Well, and then there might have been a part of you that sometimes with certain people you could talk to, you're blue in the face, but they're not listening to you, and sometimes you do just have to freaking walk away, because keep your own. The insanity is talk to a wall and expect it to talk to you back. But
I was that wall a couple of times.
Well, I tell relational partners, I say, at some point you're going to come to me and you're going to say, you're a narcissistic, smug, uncaring, selfish asshole. And I just want you to know I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I'm good. I'm down. That's true. I am. I mean, you know what? I am. There are going to be times when you're not going to like me. It's just the way things are. And there may be times when I don't like you. But what I don't want to focus on are all the times we don't like each other. I want to focus on all the reasons why we do like each other and what we're about.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's good.
Well, Theodore came late to the party, but she came to support, and I'm just
I
thankful.
came to
just
say
to
I have to be going.
Yeah.
I apologize for being late. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Out of calendar here, and this is where I am.
That's
but I
okay.
wanted to say happy birthday to Barry and happy birthday to Scott. And I also wanted to tell you guys how grateful I am to have the friendship that I have with all of you that are here, and just how much each and every one of you mean to me. And
Steve's all smug.
Steve, you mean a lot, because I learned so much from everything you share all the time. And if we were to talk about building healthy relationships, I think we can start by being healthy ourselves. And I think when we're healthy and we leave the agenda that we have on the side and we forget about it, might even trash it. That's when we are able to really actually build a healthy relationship, either being a business or a personal or a friendship or any kind of relationship. If we leave the agenda on the side and we're truly genuine about who we are as people, and always strive to help others and put, maybe put them first, or see where we meet in the middle. That relationship, I consider it being healthy. I think
Aw.
that's how I guide my life.
Mhm.
That's who I am. And I never build a relationship with an agenda because I want something or I expect something. And I'm always there to help. I go in and I'm there to see what can I do for others and how can I help others. And
Lo-
I think so far it worked. I don't
yes, we love you.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
So I think we're about that time. We've got 9 minutes left, and we'll do a roundtable start with we'll start with Steve here
Why?
in closing, because everybody else can make up the time so we don't run late.
Well, I'm just gonna say what I said earlier. Relationships can be the easiest thing in the world, but there's just a few things that people forget. They put on an air about themselves. They're afraid to be vulnerable. I think vulnerability is crucial in a relationship. I'm talking about that's a personal relationship. I think honesty is important, and I think the most important thing is communication, though. Uh, Lack of communication is the reason why most people break up in a marriage and in business. And it's, people are separate from each other and they're thinking that this person is thinking this and thinking that, and they may not be. But if you think that's what they're thinking, that's all that matters in your world. And all you had to do is just pick up the phone. And that's why I say email sometimes can be misconstrued all the time. People write an email. There were times when I typed something to someone, and they type back, well, what the hell did that mean? Why did you have to be so sarcastic? And I'm looking at what I wrote, and I didn't view it as being sarcastic. That's when I started realizing, you know what? Maybe I should pick up the phone and talk to the person and
right.
express how I really feel. And it always works every time. When you're able to communicate and be vulnerable, maybe even at times admit that you're wrong, it works every single time. But part of the human condition is we put on airs, and we lack that communication that is crucial to keep a relationship going.
I love you, Steve. That was great. That's fantastic. Thank you. Mr. Hipster, birthday boy.
Well, to build a little bit off of what Steve was saying, what popped up to me is the communication model, that 7% of the communication is words, 38% tonality, 55% the physiology behind the delivery of the tonality. And the problem with texting is it's just the words. And so I teach a very similar thing, Steve. I say, don't ever send an email to anybody without reading it two ways. The way you intended it, you're on puppy uppers, you're the happiest you've ever been, and as if somebody just kicked your dog. And if they can put tone to it, if you can put tone to it when you read it, so can they, and they more than likely will. And that's why the foundational piece really of the relationship is trust. If you don't have trust, you don't have anything. Now, where does that get fostered? It gets fostered through the communication. And so we're relying on simple words, but we're giving the interpretation of the tone and the feeling behind those words to the recipient. And if they just got cut off in traffic, they're not going to take the words well, no matter what you say to them. But it's their application to it. So again, I mean, it's all these intricacies that ultimately, hopefully, you learn over time, and you do a better job of implementing them, and then evaluating them and modifying as necessary.
Yep.
That's called growing old. That's just part of it.
Now, what the hell do you have to bring that up for?
It's called he's had a happy birthday today.
because I'm still younger than some. So
Well, happy birthday again, Scott, and thank
Thank
you for being here. I thank you both, Barry, the other birthday boy. Happy birthday, Barry.
Thank you.
Yes. So your final words?
For this one, well, I've got 50 things to talk about in my book, which is you can recommend highly. You can go get that on Amazon. Just a little plug about relationships, 50 principles for healthy relationships. One thing I'll say that I've said a bit earlier is that ultimately every relationship you have out there is one common denominator, which is you in the mirror. You're the one common denominator in all your relationships. And the thing is, you can't fix this one by looking out there to fix it by being with other people.
Yes.
So I think what Scott said about being committed to lifelong, is it Scott or Rex, about being committed to growth and learning and becoming the best yourself you can be. Any relationship that doesn't work, which sometimes they don't, there's learning from it, opportunities to change from it, and you can see where maybe you, because you definitely did, contributed something to the relationship that didn't work well. You can fix that next time. Because sometimes we go in a relationship and go, well, that was horrible. Let me go on to the next one and try a new one without taking anything with us. You know, I've got a new program launching based on the fact we've got to go back and clean up our mess, because going forward without doing that just makes more baggage we drag from relationship to relationship to relationship. So the one you have with yourself is the most important one. If you don't feel like you're the best person in a relationship, why not do the work? Become your best you.
And you know, that's so well said, Barry. And I know I already went, but I would like to add on to this. If a relationship is over and you were at fault at any way, it's really important that you let that person know that you were wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's really important to let that person know that what you did was not right, whatever it was, especially if you want to go into the next relationship. The other one has to end in a clean slate for your personal well-being.
Peace of mind.
Exactly.
Right.
I think that's crucial.
That was awesome. Thank you for that, Steve. Yes, Miss Sandy.
Okay. Well, what Barry and Steve both said, but anyway, it's true. You have to know yourself. You have to take responsibility. I talk about having healthy relationships, going into a partnership relationship. You both have to be 100-100, not 50-50. Like you have to be 100% a whole authentic person and know where your danger zones are, your triggers are. You need to know who you are. And if you don't, then you're just, gambling. You're at the casino, you're playing the slot machine. So,
Roulette.
I mean, there's nothing you can do, but getting to know yourself and who you are is so important, and being your authentic self and showing up as your authentic self and not trying to be what another person wants you to be or you think that they want you to be. It's just you being you, and including in all relationships. That is, I'm not just talking about a partnership relationship. And communicating, I think that you need this, but this is all I can give you. Communicating, where those places are. I mean, I can see people and go, I can tell you need this from me, but I can't give that to you. And communicating that. And I think it's really hard to say those words. It really is. It's really hard to not meet somebody else's expectations, but that's what has to fall. You have to say, you can't put this expectation on me because I cannot deliver it, and just being authentic about that in any relationship.
Eventually comes out anyways.
That's right. When it fails. Yeah.
Are any quick words before we leave?
I'm on the spot. Oh my gosh. I just want to say happy birthday to Barry and Scott.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Happy birthday to you guys.
Happy birthday.
Mr. Rex, thank you so much for helping me out today and being here as always. And I love you, my mentor. And your final words?
Unmute, sir.
You can't communicate if it's mute.
He can try. He does.
Only 7%.
Yeah, do you see that look? He communicated.
Yeah.
Right.
I know. He just called me an asshole.
With his eyes.
With that look.
There's something to be said about every relationship I've ever had, the ones that have kicked me to the curb and left me high and dry and bleeding and bloody and wanting desperately for somebody rescue me or to come back to me or whatever. I've learned something from it. Everyone that I've been brutal to, and it's over, I've learned something from. If somebody can say to you anything, I mean, okay, here we are. We're all on a platform. We have fans and we have detractors. I may make a statement and somebody go, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, and you're an idiot for saying it. Okay. It's not my business in some ways what their opinion of me is. I mean, I'm not trying to divide. I feel like I'm a uniter. I want to help end suffering in the world. I want to help people. But if they don't like it, okay. My job, if I want to help them understand what I'm saying, is to be respectful and communicate in a way that helps bridge that gap so that there's understanding between the two of us. And if they go, you're still an idiot, goodbye, right? My point isn't about that. My point is, if I'm affected by what they say, good or bad, if they say, oh, Rex, you are so smart, and I go, I feel so good. Or if they say, Rex, you're such a belligerent asshole, and I go, them's fighting words. It's not them. It had nothing to do with them. They could call me wallpaper, and I mean, in other words, it's what if you suspect that they might be true, that what they're saying is true. If you doubt that if you think, well, how dare you call me an asshole, or how dare you or I'm so good because you like, it's all bogus. It's our issues that need to be resolved.
Yep.
It's not what they think and what they say and what they do so much. It's the whole of the gap, the stuff in us that hasn't been resolved. The most power I ever had in my life, other than blowing someone a kiss at one time, was walking around a schoolyard. I was walking around my neighborhood, and some kids from a schoolyard go, "Hey, asshole, asshole!" And I looked at them, and I was doing a walking meditation. I said, "You're right. I am an asshole." And they went, "Oh God, let's get out of here. This guy." So people say, "What can I call you?" And I use the joke, just don't call me late for dinner. But you can say anything about me. It doesn't matter. And if it does, then there's a spot in me that needs to be looked at and adjusted by me so that I can heal that, or so that we can heal together. So
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, happy birthday to our two birthday boys.
Happy
Love you so
Scott.
much.
Happy Barry.
And thank you so much. I love you guys. Thank you for being here as always. And Sandy, thank you for showing up. I appreciate you. And Theodora, better late than never. Love you guys.
One more thing. It's been nice being the pretend Scott for the day, and we look forward to having him back the next time.
Yes.
Absolutely.
One more smoke for the toke.
Yeah.
Did great with the pen.
One more big pull, Rex.
Hey guys, take care.
Love you guys. Stay right there. Thanks.
I smoke my highlighters.
Yeah.
Keeping me safe and sound.